This is SuperSandQueamish with another Sonic Lost World stage review. Today, we're going to talk about the game's third area. Yes, the third area, stage 2, that would be correct, of the Tropical Coast Zone, or as I would call it, the Apple Juice stage. In which case, you'll see. Now, that being said, before I carry on to the stage itself, I'll allow you to watch this hilarious yet also very quite unique. Well, let's just get right into it. Okay, so now you've watched me go through the Tropical Coast Zone 2. Pardon for stuttering there. First things that I have to say about this stage is it's awesome. I felt like this was one of those Sonic stages that's like a cherry blossom in the middle of a pile of bones, and that's a really weird way to put it, but given the upcoming stages and some of the previous stages, cough, cough, that desert stage, or both of them, this stage sums up Sonic's personality, not just the character itself, but, you know, the entire game's and franchise's general theme in a neat little package. You don't expect too often, at least, you know, from my experience of playing Sonic Lost World, as I have officially completed it. Not 100%. I don't usually find myself finding a stage to have every little, or I guess to check off every little box that Sonic brings to the table. Now, that being said, this stage is hilarious if you're terrible at the game or not. I was not expecting a giant blender or having to roll around apples, which was a throwback to some other kid-friendly games. Cough, cough. Those are like ancient gems. But it also gives you that really, really in-depth 3D feel that you don't get out of most of the other Sonic games. And if we're going to talk about the 3D Sonics, like Adventure, some of them are a bit wonky. But this wraps up that Mario aesthetic, especially Mario Galaxy style, with some puzzles, and honestly, I have to say that they didn't feel too, out of place. A lot of these, timer-based puzzles or push the snowball into the hole, those kind of things, tend to feel like they're just thrown in as gimmicks. But this was more or less quite enjoyable. Each little note in this stage, I guess the best way to put it was each little piece had something to enjoy. So it was pretty repetitive in the sense that you push the apple juice to go up. Then there's an enemy puzzle, which again you'll see here where I struggle to remind myself that Sonic can use a wind kick move, and I end up falling into the juice over and over and over again, which creates kind of the comedy here. But that being said, it's overall fun to play. You get to experience each little ability Sonic has to offer, whether you're acquiring the medals or you're just running through it for the first time as fast as you can. There's plenty of moments to use to use the satisfying homing attacks, especially its own natural ability to lock on to the annoying enemies that have the little sour ball rings around them, which again aren't that annoying if you remember that Sonic can knock the barrier off. If not, you'll see here that I bump into them and fall into the juice. And also, pause for a second, I may or may not add an anecdote here, but we meet a new enemy for the first time, which has this really hilarious windmill arm swing thing. But again, if you don't land the hit correctly, it will bounce you off right into the juice. So it's kind of crucial here to use the homing attack's natural ability to lock on its own, or just kind of spam the lock on your own. Either way, it's not as frustrating as you would think. Probably because you don't end up losing a life unless you drown in the juice. But overall, moments like this and the enemy combinations didn't feel too unnecessary. There didn't feel like there was too many patterns. It was pretty simple. And in between the apple juice grinding stages, it felt uniquely satisfying to be faced with a different area each time. Although the platforms were fairly standard, there was moments where you could climb up a wall, which I didn't see till my second or third time playing this when collecting screenshots. But there was just I don't know. I would have to say, to wrap it up neatly, there was different ways you could accomplish some of the apple puzzles, and that alone felt nice. Now, there's a couple times where throughout Sonic Lost World, I noticed things like you have other options. You can go left or you can go right to get a snowball, for example, or to go through a longer way to get an extra life, stuff like that. Not always do they feel necessary or even worth checking out, but this one felt designed in a way that had you interested in engaging with those kind of opportunities. For example, I believe it was I just played it, but it was the second space between an apple juice grinding stage. And there's just a neat little pattern design with how you can achieve reaching one of the apples, as well as, again, a nice little medal reward that required you to use one of Sonic's abilities. It's a friendly reminder. And that sums it up. Without repeating myself, I feel like I want to say more about the stage, probably because I enjoyed it so much. But overall, it was just designed very well, not limitlessly frustrating, though it could become time-consuming. That being said, it is overall a fun to play, most definitely, and one of the most, if not unique designs that I've found in this game so far. Definitely not out of Sonic in general, but it's up there on the list. Cough, cough. Now, I really do have to say that if I were to rate this stage in general, in all categories, it's a 10 out of 10 in terms of enjoyment and in terms of just Sonic stages and all. I want to say 10, but definitely could use some refinement. It's more of like a 7 or an 8. I think an 8.5 puts it pretty well. It's a lot of fun. It was a big surprise. I was expecting something more, I wasn't expecting apple juice, but it was funny. And I think it's overall one of those refreshing stages, whether you're grinding through for recording purposes or just playing Sonic because you like Sonic. It's a fun thing to encounter. Again, bit repetitive, but that being said, it's one of those moments where you're looking at the screen, you just take a second to sit back and enjoy it. Because it doesn't happen too often, especially in the endless swath of DS games and Sega games and stuff like that. Although they're probably all amazing. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But sometimes there is moments where it's just like, okay, this is like Green Hill Zone. Again. But here we are with an apple juice stage. And it felt like a gem. Now, if you're a Sonic fan or a fan of me or my content or my voice, if you're weird, feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment. Or share, if you must. Back to leaving a comment. If you want to leave a Sonic-related comment, point me in the direction of another Sonic game. Although I'll just go fast in some direction. Maybe up. If I remember to use Sonic's bounce jump. Cough, cough, I kept forgetting that. Anyways, you could leave a comment about whatever you want. Did you notice any mistakes? Should I go back and collect the medals? If you know why, or, we'll just leave it at that. You can do what you will with this video, but I hope you enjoyed, and if you're a Sonic fan, have a Sonic day, and if not, have a day, or night. SuperSandQueamish out.
Take it easy.